I know it's been a minute since my last video, but when I saw this, I knew I had to get the suit out of the mothballs because the reaction that Joe Rogan suffers through when Elon Musk tells these two just horrific jokes is so funny. And it's even more funny because Joe Rogan's a stand-up comedian. But I also kind of empathize with Elon a little bit too, and I'll tell you why a little bit later. But first, did you realize what Joe Rogan is dressed as in this? There was a picture that was posted, I think it was on a Reddit, of some dude that was caught at a baseball game that they said looked like Joe Rogan. And clearly he's wearing a wig, but I don't think he's dressed as a girl. Here's the guy that they said he was dressed as. So he dressed as it for this whole interview because this was recorded on the 30th on Halloween.
Yeah, I find the New York Times these days to be hard to read.
Well, unfortunately, they make some grave errors.
Yeah.
Like that Hamas bombing the Israeli bombing the hospital story. Yes, it's delicious. I mean,
I think we should cut off Chick-fil-A exports. That'll bring them to the knees right away. What do you do? Take a chip and dip it in nothing?
It's more cringy every time I see it. So we got to walk through all the different things that he tries to do to get off the hummus joke.
Like that Hamas bombing the
hummus?
No.
Yeah, he just says no and then tries to laugh along with it. but Musk stays on it like he's really found a winner.
Israeli bombing the hospital story. Yes, it's delicious. I mean,
I think we should cut off.
He's also trying to tell like a serious story, right, about a bombing in a war, and he goes to chickpeas. So then, what does Rogan do? He secondly just tries to dismiss it again by agreeing. So yes, and listen, he tries one more time to get off this topic, but Musk ain't having it.
I think we should cut off Chick-fil-A exports. That'll bring them to the knees right away. What do you do? Take a chip and dip it in nothing?
Listen to this laugh.
What do you do? Take a chip and dip it in nothing?
Zero reaction. And then it's so bad, and he stayed on it for so many times. How many times has Rogan tried to get off that? 4 different times, that he realizes he just needs to completely change the subject. So they talked about ordering a pizza, and so he just goes to that because I got nothing else, and I got to get off this joke.
What do you do? Take a chip and dip it in nothing?
What we need to do is introduce them to pineapple and anchovy pizza. They will have
I hope that's coming.
Is that coming?
See, totally off it. So I'm sure that was a big question that he wanted to ask about at this point, because everything going off. So the time of the recording that I'm recording this and the time this was recorded, the Israel Palestine thing was just kind of getting started, and like there was a retaliation, and Musk, with just Starlink and everything like that, everybody wants to hear what he has to say because he has so much power politically. And so I'll get into why I defend Musk here a little bit though too. First of all, they're drinking straight whiskey. They've been doing that for an hour. But secondly, Musk is in such a position of power and authority and influence at this point that when I hear him speak, people are just so stiff and serious that even when he tells a joke, and like a good joke, the crowd just won't say anything. It'll just be completely silent, just because I think that they assign so much importance to what they're saying that it's hard to transition into like even enjoying a joke type mindset. And so I feel bad for Musk. And so he's trying to tell these jokes to keep it lighthearted, because this interview, it wasn't my favorite one. I mean, it's actually the first interview I've ever seen with Musk and Rogan, where I was fast forwarding. They got into like, he slipped a disc in his back when he was wrestling a sumo wrestler, which is kind of interesting. But then they started going on the list of different MMA fighters and stuff that had back like problems. It's like, dude, nobody wants to hear this when you've got 2 hours with Musk. There's so many interesting things to ask him. But on the other hand of the coin, the other side of the coin, I think Rogan also wants Musk to feel more like he's talking to a friend, because he realizes Musk is probably tired of getting drilled by the same questions, all very important questions, but the same questions over and over again. So he's probably trying to show that he's able to have a conversation about other things, let the conversation free flow a little bit. So I do understand Musk trying to keep it light, and I appreciate that. But that being said, let's go into the next zinger that he's got.
Is reading the tweets. I guess you still have to call them tweets.
Posts or whatever. I don't have a good word for it, but
yeah, you can't say the X's. But reading the
all my exes live in Texas.
Reading the words.
Do you hear Rogan's laugh? He can't. Oh man, it's just so painful for him, because the thing is, all my exes live in Texas. it didn't have. There's no way that was throwback humor or a joke to anything else. The only thing it had with it was the word X's. So it wasn't a joke at all. It's like, that's not clever at all. A guy who has a genius IQ to just throw out something like that, it makes no sense at all. And it's not even like Elon Musk has a bunch of X's in his life that ever lived or currently live in Texas. So literally it was a joke. And then Musk realizes it and he's like, oh, that was some sound you let out.
Reading the words, or I should say.
That was a good sound, he says.
People who...
So now let's go to one where Musk is a little more normal. So once again, Joe Rogan's dressed up as that dude, but he looks like a girl. So when they sit back down, well, I'll just show you a clip here. They actually they took his bow and arrow because they shot like a full Tommy gun, all 50 rounds at this new Cybertruck, and it can't penetrate, like a 9mm 45. They can't penetrate this. So he wanted to see if his hunting bow and arrow could. And sure enough, it couldn't. And when they come back in, I'll just let him speak for himself. Here's what he says.
That's impressive.
Hey, cutie.
That's a funny one. Hey, cutie. And you can see Rogan's reaction. It was much more normal. He didn't cringe. He didn't get up in himself. So it wasn't like Musk was 0 for 100, but those are the two that kind of stood out to me that were pretty cringeworthy. And if you've got strong thoughts on if you think Musk's jokes are as bad as I did, let me know in the comments below. I'll talk to you soon.